God! It's freezing cold. Stay with me, little one." The old man's voice echoed through the snowstorm. He knelt, trembling hands scooping up a tiny creature from the snow, a gray ball of fur, no bigger than his palm, eyes still shut, its fragile body shivering weakly. "Hang on, you'll be all right," he whispered, wrapping it gently in a wool scarf and hurrying back toward the wooden cabin glowing faintly through the fog. He thought he was saving a helpless puppy, but 3 months later, he would discover the truth, and it would both chill and warm his heart at the same time. His name was Henry Lawson, 68 years old, living alone in a small wooden cabin on the edge of Yellowstone Forest in Montana. A retired park ranger, he had spent his life among trees, rivers, and wild creatures. After his wife passed, the quiet of the forest became both his comfort and his loneliness. Every morning, he would sit by the window with a cup of coffee, watching snow fall over the pines, never expecting that one winter morning, a faint cry would call him back into the heart of nature he once guarded. It began with a sound, a tiny whimper carried by the wind. Henry followed it through the snow-covered trail until he saw something small beside a rock. A newborn pup, barely alive, its paw bleeding slightly, half buried in frost. "Oh, you poor thing," he murmured. There were no human footprints, only large animal tracks leading back into the woods. "Maybe your mother's out there," he whispered, glancing toward the dark tree line. Still, his heart wouldn't let him walk away. He lifted the fragile creature gently, tucked it into his coat, and hurried home through the falling snow. Inside, Henry placed the pup by the fire, wrapping it in an old towel. He fed it warm milk, drop by drop from a spoon. Each breath it took was shallow, weak, but alive. "Come on, little one. You're safe now." For nights, Henry stayed awake, guarding the tiny heartbeat beside the fire. It became his purpose again, a small life in his quiet house. He named it Scout. Over the next 3 months, Scout grew still small, still clumsy, but strong enough to follow Henry's boots through the snow. Its fur was soft gray, its ears pointy but not yet firm, and its eyes a glowing amber gold. Henry thought it must be a rare breed of dog, maybe a mountain stray. Every morning, Scout followed him to the porch, pawing at the snow. Every evening, it curled beside the fire, chest rising in slow, peaceful breaths. One night, Henry smiled and said softly, "You know, kid, this old house hasn't felt this alive in years." Then, one night, Henry woke up suddenly. Scout wasn't by his bed. He looked toward the window. The little pup was sitting there, staring into the darkness of the forest. From afar came a sound, a long, low howl that echoed across the frozen valley. Scout perked up, its ears twitching, its amber eyes glowing faintly. Henry walked over and placed a hand on its head. "It's just the wind, little one." But deep down, he knew it wasn't. There was something wild, answering a call that didn't belong to him. A few days later, Henry brought Scout into town to get checked by the local vet. The young nurse smiled at first, then froze. "Sir, this isn't a dog." "What?" Henry frowned. "Look at its eyes, its teeth. This is a wolf pup." Henry's heart sank. 3 months of love, laughter, and warmth, all this time, he had been raising a wolf. That evening, Henry sat silently by the fire. Scout slept at his feet, its breathing calm, unaware of the truth. Outside, the wind howled, but beneath it came another sound. A familiar, haunting cry. Scout's ears twitched. It stood, staring toward the door. Henry's throat tightened. "Your mother," he whispered. He opened the door. Cold air rushed in, and in the moonlight, 2 glowing eyes shone from the forest's edge, a large gray wolf watching from afar. Scout looked back at Henry, then at the forest. Henry knelt down, voice trembling. "Go on, little one. Go home." Scout licked his hand softly, then ran disappearing into the snow, leaving small paw prints that led straight into the woods. Morning came quietly. Henry opened his door and stopped. Right on the porch lay a small deer bone, clean and white, beside the fresh imprint of a large wolf's paw. He smiled faintly, his eyes moist. "Thank you, Scout," he whispered. "And thank you, Mama Wolf." That winter, Henry often sat by the fire, listening to the distant howls echo across the valley. He no longer felt alone, because somewhere out there, a creature he once saved remembered him. Sometimes kindness doesn't mean keeping something close. Sometimes it means letting it go back to where it belongs. And if you think this story was just about an old man rescuing a wolf pup, then you haven't heard crows surrounded a dying puppy. What the old man did next shocked everyone. Don't miss the story beside this one, because sometimes the smallest act of compassion can change everything.